Hi everyone, my name is Natalia Licano and my study will examine the correlation between sleep quality and phone usage. So I just wanted to explain a little bit why this topic was important and why I chose it. So first and foremost, sleep is a basic human function. It is very important to our overall physical and mental health. And if we don't get enough sleep, then we can start developing mental and physical health issues like obesity, risk of stroke, type 2 diabetes, and even Alzheimer's disease. And secondly, technology is all around us. It's become a very large part of our culture today, and children nowadays are introduced to it at younger ages. While it may be a convenient and seemingly important tool, the negative side effects are often overlooked. And my research would aim to determine if there is an effect on sleep quality concerning higher phone usage. As I researched more about this topic, I found that there were two main categories that the studies fell into. The first one is phone usage. The main results that came from these studies was that when individuals use their phones more, especially in school, their academic performance levels lowered. The second category is sleep quality and phone usage. And the main results that came from these studies is that as individuals used their phones more, their quality of sleep went down. So for my study, I hypothesized that high amounts of time spent on phones will be significantly correlated with sleep quality, and my prediction was that phone usage will have a strong correlation with sleep quality. So for my participants section, I estimated around 500 participants for my study. And when I was looking through the other studies that have been done on this topic, there was a lot of variation between the participant numbers. So for example, one of the studies had around 45 participants and another study had over 800. So there's a really big difference between those numbers. So I wanted to choose kind of middle ground, which I chose 500 participants for. And of those participants, I figured that population would be largely centered around people in Idaho. And of those people in Idaho, the majority of the ethnicity would be white individuals with mixes of Hispanic and Asian individuals. And I do think there will be other ethnicities that fall into the other category, but I wanted to highlight these three specifically. And I thought the age would range between late teens to high 40s, with the mean falling somewhere in the 20s. And I say this because my main source of recruiting would be through social media platforms, because this would be the best and easiest way for me to reach people throughout Idaho. So if I made a post announcement on social media platforms, especially college or university social media platforms like Idaho State University, BYUI, or Boise State University, and asked friends and families to share it as well, share the announcement, then it would reach a lot more people, and those people would probably fall in the age range that I said. So the first measure that I would use is the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index, or the PSYC. And this measures how well an individual sleeps over the course of 1 month. It does this by asking 19 Likert scale questions, and those questions the responses are grouped into 7 components, which are subjective sleep quality, sleep latency, sleep duration, sleep efficiency, sleep disturbances, use of sleep medication, and daytime dysfunction. The second measure that I would use is the Mobile Phone Problematic Use Scale, or the MPPUS. And this scale measures the level of severity of phone use of an individual, so low, medium, or high. And it does this by asking 27 Likert scale questions, and the responses range from 1 to 10, 1 being not true at all, and 10 being totally true. And I'll get back to these measures in a couple of slides. So for the procedure section, as I stated before, the participants would be recruited through social media platforms as well as through family and friends if they decided to text the link to other individuals. And the link would be to a Google Forms, and the Google Forms would have 4 sections. So the first section would go over confidentiality and how no personally identifiable information will be shared in the results of the study, and it asks that they answer all the questions as honestly as possible. It continues by talking about informed consent and explains that there will not be any harm done by taking the survey, and that they have a right to withdraw from the survey at any time. And if they agree with the terms listed, they will sign their initials at the bottom to help retain confidentiality. So the second section would be demographics, asking about age, gender, race, and ethnicity. The third section will be the questions using the scales mentioned above, so the PSYC and the NPPUS. And the questions would be in a random order to help alleviate the chances of participants guessing what the survey is about. Now, the last section would be just a thank you, or thanking the participants for their time and providing a form of contact for me or other researchers about their results or just the general purpose of the study. So back to the measures. The PSQI, or the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index, is measured using a 21-point scale, 1 being a very good sleep quality, level of sleep quality, and 21 being a very poor level of sleep quality. And if a participant has a score of 5 or higher, then they are considered to have a poor level of sleep quality. And the NPPUS is measured using a scale between 27 and 270. So as I said before, the answers range from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all and 10 being totally true. And so the lowest score would be 27, the highest score would be 270. So just as an example, if a participant answered 1 on every single question, they would have a score of 27. If they answered 10 on every single question, they would have a score of 270. And the lower the score, the less the phone is used, the higher the score, the more the phone is used. And the statistical test that I would use for this is the Pearson correlation coefficient. And the results from the study can help provide further insight into how strong the correlation is. And for the previous studies, also the information was based on medical and college students, and there were also other variables involved. So with my study, it would only be measuring the effect that phone usage has on sleep quality, and the demographic would go outside of college students as well. And that is everything. So thank you for taking the time to listen.